For that, I met Eric at an AA meeting.
Oh my gosh. So you can, hey, as long as it wasn't one of those meetings, right, then you'll be okay. Because I always see that on like horrible bosses and stuff like that, these AA meetings,
some pretty drastic behaviors, and it pretty much led me down a long road to divorce, ended up being homeless, and so many times in my life through the struggles that's all I ever wanted to do was give up, even as far as even being almost ready to end it all. I've been that low before,
What's going on with the truckers? Welcome to the TheAsianMaiShow. So today we have a power couple. They are on YouTube, Red Monkey Trucking. I wish I had like some kind of applause thing that I can like just do like this and be like, Red Monkey Trucking, But, I appreciate you guys, Eric and Laura, for being on the show. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
No, of course. And, and what we're doing is we're going to get deeper into conversations. So I really appreciate you being a part of this. And so I guess let's get right into it. And, we talked a little bit off screen, Eric, and I'm going to get to know a little bit more about Laura and see what she's about. So first thing first is what's the history? Where do we want to start? How far back do we want to start, Eric?
Well, I was born on
no. Oh, no. That's too far. That's too far. No, let's. You know what? It'd be interesting, and I know it's a kind of a touchy subject, but if we could start maybe about when you were in the military and going from that, and basically let us know the direction that your life kind of took. Yeah. Until where you are today and how, you guys have met as a couple.
Well, back in 2000, I went in the military for a few years. Some things, of course, September 11th happened while I was in the military. It was pretty drastic. Things changed. I did have a good military career. I could have stayed in and pursued it to be something that I wanted to maybe retire from. But during the situation at the time, I was previously married, and we just wanted to try to go towards the family life. In military, it's kind of hard to have that. So I ended up getting out. Through the period of quite a few years, I was dealing with some things, and I didn't know what I was dealing with at the time internally, and it led to some pretty drastic behaviors, and it pretty much led me down a long road to divorce. Ended up being homeless, and from there I ended up getting in some trouble, picked up a couple felonies along the way, and I pretty much by 2015, I know there's a long time in between there, but it was a while, but by 2015 I thought things were hopeless in my life, and I kind of got to the point, that I knew that either it was going to be over in a bad sense, or it was going to be over and I was going to change something. And with the guidance of a few good people, I decided to change something in my life. And through a lot of hard work, I ended up getting in a halfway house program, and I had somebody someday, a veteran rep at the Career Center, saying, "Have you ever thought about driving a truck for a living?" And I thought that having, those two charges, that it wasn't a possibility for me. And he was like, "No, man, there's companies willing to give you a chance. There's second chance companies out there." And I'm like, okay, let's pursue it and see what happens. It was worth a shot. I'd already got on the path to, get straighten my life up at this point, as far as, cleaning up and everything. And so I chose to go to school and finish school with a really good score. As far as, overall, I was in the top three.
We were talking off camera, and basically going from someone that was in the military and dealing with that stress, and then going through divorce, and basically there's some time where we talked off camera and it led you to almost a sense of pretty much being homeless at that time?
Homeless and hopeless. I mean, everything.
Wow.
I mean, I had some mental issues going on that I didn't know that I was suffering from. So I made some very poor decisions, and I tend to self-medicate, and that's what I was doing. And that right there in itself led to me being homeless, like, because I didn't know what was going on. And then, once I started letting the VA help me and things, that's when things started to change, because suddenly the way I felt about everything I had something to be like, oh, this is what's been going on, and after even the VA rep was the one that helped me at the career center to told me about trucking and everything. And I'd been in the program at that point for about a year. I've been clean and doing the right thing and getting the kind of help that I needed. And I was like, no, I just pretty much was like, no, I can't do it. It was still at that point, I had a hard time finding it inside me to believe that I could do something like that, and he pushed me, and he was like, man, I believe you can do anything you put your mind to. And so I went, and I did great in school, and I had very slim pickings of the companies that would take me,
Right. I can imagine, because a lot of people say that, like, if you have, in a sense, a tarnished record, or you have a felony, it's pretty much hard to get a job, right? People always say, oh, Swift or Western Express will take you. They're pretty much like the only ones. And so, tell us a little bit about, PTL, and how when you were in that halfway house, basically they were letting you go to school while you were on probation.
I'd already graduated from the halfway house when I decided to go towards trucking, because I was working in a factory that was working me to my bones, like for minimum wage. And I mean, I'm talking about working hard, and I knew that I had to find something better, and I was just open to ideas, and that's why I was at the career center that day, and
Wow.
Once I got into school, got the school finished, they pretty much told me I had a choice between Trans Am and PTL, and I heard a lot more bad things about Trans Am.
Yeah, I heard that. I've heard a lot of shit about Trans Am as well.
And I took the advice from the guy at the school that ran the school. He was like, look, I'm not telling you what choice to make. If I was you, PTL has a much better reputation, and you will move up to them, and you're looking at making more pay later on down the road. And they're, like I said, great for giving you that experience, where you maybe move on to bigger things later on. And, one thing I'd like to point out, my felonies weren't drug related or violent charges, so that helps. It's just most companies outside of these few companies want at least 5 years at that point. And PTL, I didn't have 4 years yet. I actually had 3 years almost when I started, and I was still looking at that long a time on probation, and they agreed to hire me with that. And they said,
oh, wow, really?
Yes. They said, we will work with you, and we will let you go to your probation, as long as they had to have communication back and forth between my probation officer and them. And they worked it out to me coming home every 45 days and seeing my probation officer. And my probation officer was also understanding that it's trucking, things can go wrong. And she was lenient with maybe letting me come in a couple of days earlier or come in a couple of days late. So there was still that cushion area there. And so I was ecstatic that they were going to let me do this, and I haven't given up on it since.
Man, no, that's crazy. So fast forward, I mean, you guys are a power couple. Yeah, you're both trucking for PTL. So when did Laura start coming into the picture?
Okay,
when was that point where it went from the military to going through some issues to getting your license? Where did you guys meet? Because I know it's pretty much a fresh relationship, right?
We met at
we had a really similar life path, it seems like. I was never in the military, but I dealt with some mental issues and addiction issues and stuff like that. And it had pretty much ruined my life. Until December of 2015, I ended up going to rehab in California. And after that, I met Eric at an AA meeting.
Oh my gosh. So you can, hey, as long as it wasn't one of those sex meetings, right? Then you'll be okay. Because I always see that on like horrible bosses and stuff like that. That, you know, these AA meetings, you know, they don't go so well with those ones.
Right.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and this is the little thing you hear about. This is out of the movies, but I was coming down the street and I seen her standing there standing right by the door, and I seen one of my good friends annoying the crap out of her. And I walked up and I'm like, dude, man, you know, and I don't think in the past in my life that I've ever just went up and, you know, I met a girl through like a bunch of friends hanging out or something, right? I was like, can I have your Facebook? You know, like, and
oh man,
like,
you're hollering hard, man.
She was all like awkward, and like I was like, me too. We were both extremely awkward, and then, you know, she told me what her Facebook was. We just send each other friend requests, and then we didn't even say anything else to each other. And then a few days later, she was like, you know, would you be interested in going to a meeting? I'm like, sure. And we just started hanging out and got to know each other. And as it progressed into a relationship, we made a promise with one another that from that point, that if we were going to pursue a relationship, we had to be 100% supportive of being positive with one another. And none of this, I'm going to drag you down if I decide to relapse type thing. You know what I mean? And
wow, that's incredible. That's crazy, you know, and not to cut you off, but I think about it, like most of the time you would think that if you have something you're going through, you might not want to do that with someone that's been in a similar situation. But in reality, does it help more if you're in the process and working on it with each other? Because I don't know.
Yeah. I think it really depends.
It's an iffy situation. It does depend on the people, but somebody told us, because we were, you know, people were wanting to say, you're not supposed to get in a relationship while you're doing this. And one of the guys that I knew, an older guy, a Vietnam vet, been sober for a long time, said, look, if each of you are actually pushing each other to do better than maybe what you would even done by yourself, then that's a good thing. It's a rare thing, and take advantage of it and enjoy it, because we fell in love quick, man. We fell in love.
That's beautiful. It makes sense, man. She's a pretty girl. I mean, you had it pretty easy.
Thank you.
Man, I know, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so funny. And the reason why I think it's so funny is because I hollered at Jenna through Facebook too. So shout out to Mark Zuckerberg, man. He be plugging people, yo.
Thanks.
There you go.
You know, so it's funny.
The weird robot guy, right?
You know, it's funny. So let's fast forward this a little bit. So you guys kind of got a chance to meet each other through similar situations. You went in and got your license and started trucking with PTL, and then you guys got married, right?
Okay. I went in, and I knew it was going to be, you know, my training period and then my partner training period. And then once I got my first seat, then I knew that she could come in the truck and everything. And that was our plan from there. I went in October 24th, started driving with training. And then I went through my training period with another training partner. And then I had a Christmas break. And then I think it was right after the new year, I got my first seat, and we set up everything. PTO was super cool. They have a ride-along program. You know, she came right in the truck. And
nice.
From there, our plan had been from there for her to, once we figured out the funding with the school and everything, we saved some money, was to get her in school to bring her on as a driver. And PTO had been on with that plan from the very get-go. And then as soon as she went to school 8 months later, they were cool with, you know, taking us pretty much close enough to let her go there. And then, you know, once she went to school, she came up to PTL, and I had a year of experience at that point. and they hopped her right in the truck with me, and I did her training, and it just phased into all parts of her training until she got enough miles. She got her, her single seat point, but we were obviously staying teams at that point. And then
No, that's cool.
So it was really beneficial to be able to do that. She didn't have to worry about being out of the truck and finding a female trainer or being in that kind of situation.
Right.
And that was kind of,
I know that could be difficult.
And that was kind of part of the plan too. I would have enough time at that point that they would allow me to be able to train her. We wouldn't have to worry about that separation and stuff because we're buddies, man. We're best buddies. You don't see us separated that much at all. And even just the short separation of having to go out and train and stuff and her not be there was rough enough. We're like best friends, man. We're pals. So,
See, and so that's cool. So, okay. So, Laura, I want to pick your brain real quick.
Sure.
Have you ever driven a truck before this? Anything to do with trucking, anything like that at all?
No, not at all.
So, I mean, let's motivate some of these ladies out here. I mean, when you first started trucking, I mean, were you a little bit nervous? Did you think you could do it? I mean, what were your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. I'm still nervous. It scares me, honestly. But
no, you know what? Hey, I'm scared too, so I get that. So what'd you do when you went from being scared? I mean, how'd you get your license?
So I went to school in Middle Tennessee. I went to Truck Drivers Institute in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and they're really good people there. They make sure that you know what you need to know to pass your CDL test.
Oh, wow. So they hook you up pretty damn good, right?
Yeah, they're really good people. They're really nice there. And I had a really positive experience there. And after that, I had some issues with my license. It actually got suspended while I was in school because of a past traffic ticket. So I had some issues. So it took me several months total to actually get through school and to the point that I could join in to PTL.
But she didn't give up. She didn't give up, and she pursued, man. And
that's the important thing. Don't give up.
Hey, that's what's up. And so how about to the girls that think that they can't do it? What do you have to say to them?
Oh, if I can do it, I think anybody can do it. I think it takes a little bit of guts and just some general motivation, especially if you've had issues in your past. It's important to work through those things. And I think one of my biggest problems were my mental issues like depression and anxiety that really affected my motivation to drive a truck, to get into any kind of career. But you know what? If I can do it, I think anybody can.
No, I love it. I love it.
Awesome.
So I almost feel like, as we build a relationship, the TheAsianMaiShow, and and I want to put this right here. Look at that. Subscribe to Red Monkey Trucking, right? So you give, you give people a lot of fun on your channel, and I just want to plug you real quick. And I almost think that this could be almost like a 2-part interview that we could do. I kind of wanted to do everything at once, but the more I think about it, I think this is a good introduction to what's going on with you and how you guys got together and from your struggles. So
that's great with me. That'd be fine, man.
It'd be awesome.
So, I think we should do almost like a part 2. So part 1, I would say, of this is almost, it's a love story, really, how you go from having it all to struggling and to finding each other and to finding a company that makes it work. And I'm here to tell people I am not sponsored by PTL. I don't know who the hell these people are, but it seems like they're pretty dope.
Pascal Truck Lines, and I'm not sponsored either, other than I just work for them. So
no, that's what's up. That's what's up. So I at the end of this interview, because this is more about knowing you guys. So I'd love to have you guys back on the show.
Okay,
that'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Because I think this story is pretty inspirational. So I mean, at the end of this interview, anything to the people that are struggling, maybe have felonies, maybe have some addictions in their lives. I mean, anything that you could let them know to maybe give them some motivation or inspiration?
Here we go first on this one.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't give up. That's the biggest thing. There was so many times in my life through the struggles that's all I ever wanted to do was give up, even as far as even being almost ready to end it all. I've been that low before, and all it took was a little bit of glimmer of hope and somebody just to say the right thing for me to want to change things. And that was the biggest thing, is always try in your life to find a silver lining in everything. Because I tell you what, the silver lining for me is that because I know what it's like to be that low, I have such a gratefulness for, even on the roughest day, it's like, man, this could be way worse than what it is now.
Wow.
It's always
that's great advice.
And just, keep striving for what you want, man. I knew it was going to be a hard road with getting into trucking and having the felonies, but it wasn't impossible. And even this point in my life, I don't feel anything's impossible. It's only if you just make the decision to move forward with it and try.
That's legit, man. Laura, any thoughts?
I just want people to know that life can get better. There are downs and ups in everyone's life, and as long as you have a little bit of motivation to work on your own issues, I think that you can exponentially improve your life.
Man. No, with that, I think we could end it on this pace. So, I really appreciate you guys for being on the show.
Oh, that's no problem.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you, man.
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.